Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I actually had just posted a short, literally not even a couple minutes ago, saying how I was going to make a video. Well, here I am. So I also want to explain, I am a little sunburnt, so that's why I do not have a shirt on, because I'm sunburnt and it hurts to put shirts on. And if you've been sunburned before, you know how that feels. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out the way, so, because I don't usually do videos shirtless, because I think that's kind of weird sometimes. I mean, I am a boy and a man, so it's not the biggest thing in the world, but I just wanted to say that. Anyways, forget that part, because now we are going to get straight into the video that I was talking about, and that is, I have tracked down, I have really listed all of our champions that we have had, literally every single one, except for our AAA title and our AEW World title that we had in for a couple times. But every other championship, though, I have a entire list of all the champions we had in our channel, and I am going to be telling you, as of right now, who was the first one, blah, 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 blah. Basically, you're going to know what I mean when I tell you the first one. Like, for example, our first one will be all of our World Heavyweight Champions since the beginning of our channel. So, to be honest, I'm just not going to try and explain it because it is a lot to explain. I'm just going to tell you, based off of what I'm doing. So we're going to start off with, like I said, our World Heavyweight Champions that we have had ever since the beginning of our channel. And our first ever World Heavyweight Champion, as you know, if you've been watching the entire time, was Drew McIntyre. He won it at our first ever Backlash, and he held it for 9 days total. So basically what I'm going to be telling you is our first ever champion of the championship, when they won it, how many days they held it, and then the next one. Now, thing is even though Drew McIntyre was our first ever inaugural World Heavyweight Champion, it had to be vacated due to the fact that Drew McIntyre got an injury from Damian Priest attacking him. So, he did get attacked by Damian Priest, and he, of course, like I said, had to vacate it, and so technically there was never somebody who had beaten Drew McIntyre for that title. But our second ever World Heavyweight Champion was Damian Priest, who actually won it at the first Money in the Bank. Thing is, though, is he only held it for 1 minute, because after that, Sami Zayn, who had won the Money in the Bank contract right before that match, cashed in at our first Money in the Bank, and he won it, and then he ended up holding it for a week, because right after Money in the Bank, as you know, is SummerSlam, and at that SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar took it from him. So, as of right now, up to this point in time, Brock Lesnar is the longest, because he had held the World Heavyweight Championship for 63 days total. Now, thing is, though, believe it or not, Brock Lesnar actually went on to WrestleMania, our first ever WrestleMania, to fight AJ Styles, our current undisputed champion at the time, and he ended up becoming double champion at this time. But actually, at our second SummerSlam is when we had a new world champion, which was Goldberg. He then held it for less than a minute once again, because Seth Rollins, who had again won the Money in the Bank briefcase, had cashed it in on him at the second SummerSlam, and he again actually technically became double champion in that SummerSlam. But he held it for 57 days, which is, as of right now, the second longest time. Well, I say that. Let's get to talking, actually, because that's actually a lie. Because Drew McIntyre then won it from Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 2. And at WrestleMania 2 was the beginning of the most, I'm serious when I say this, it was the beginning of the most probably impressive reign that we've ever seen, because Drew McIntyre held the World Heavyweight Championship from WrestleMania 2 to WrestleMania 4, which is 167 days, and it was literally almost every single PLE he had a title defense, which is pretty impressive, because that's a lot of work to do in 167 days. So, indeed, he did go from WrestleMania 2 to WrestleMania 4, and he's actually, technically, he won it at WrestleMania 2 Night 2, and then at WrestleMania 4 Night 1 is when he lost it to Kenny Omega. And again, he had a 167-day reign, which is the longest title reign as of right now of the World Heavyweight Championship. In fact, I did say in the short, so if you want to go look at it, you can. I don't care, though, because I'm explaining it right now. I said anyone, no matter what the title was, who had over a 100-day reign, they will be having a video of all their title defenses, which means Drew McIntyre will have one of those videos. And again, I honestly do think that, if I'm not mistaken, he's probably going to have the most amount of matches because he, like I said, defended almost every PLE. So he will probably have the most amount of matches in his entire title reign. But 167 days as of right now is our longest. So congratulations, Drew McIntyre, for that. But anyways, the one who took it from him ended up being Kenny Omega, who stayed with us for not very long. He won it at WrestleMania 4, lost it at Clash of the Castle to CM Punk due to the fact that Will Ospreay distracted him, and he ended up losing it to CM Punk at Clash of the Castle. And Kenny Omega, even though he beat one of our most impressive reigns, held it for only 14 days, sadly. And CM Punk, even though he won it in a really impressive way, only held it for a week because not even 7 days later, Clash of the Castle, we go to Money in the Bank, and Will Ospreay ends up winning it. And Will Ospreay actually held it for 70 days. And actually, he was in the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania 5. And if you watch that match, you know that Braun Breaker is currently our World Heavyweight Champion because he cashed in at WrestleMania 5 to win it, and he is our current champion still going on. Now, even though I haven't calculated his days yet, I know that he's not very long into it. So, again, Braun Breaker is our current World Heavyweight Champion. But as of now, that is all of our World Heavyweight Champions. Our longest reign is Drew McIntyre, and he will be getting a video of all his title defenses of that title on his second defense. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the World Heavyweight. So now, we're going to move on to the Men's Intercontinental Championship. And you see, what's funny is this was one of those titles where this title came in at WrestleMania 1, our first WrestleMania. And our first ever inaugural Intercontinental Champion was CM Punk, who ended up holding it for 28 days. In fact, the reason he held it for 28 days was because at SummerSlam, which was our second SummerSlam, Dominic Mysterio ended up winning it, and he actually held it for 42 days, which is pretty impressive. But he held it for 42 days, and at WrestleMania 2, our second ever WrestleMania, Kofi Kingston ended up winning it on Night 1, holding it for 63 days, because he actually was the only... Actually, I changed my mind. If I'm not mistaken, as of right now, he is the only champion to hold it a full year from WrestleMania 2 to 3, because at WrestleMania 3, Jimmy Uso ended up winning it at WrestleMania Night 1, held it for 21 days. Then Will Ospreay won it at Money in the Bank, held it for 64 days, which is, again, just one more day than Kofi, because actually the only reason he won it the only reason he had it one more day was because Kofi Kingston ended up winning the IC title on Night 1. Will lost it at Night 2 of WrestleMania 3, and Logan Paul was the one to take it from him. Which is funny, though, because Logan Paul, even though he won it at WrestleMania, he only held it for one day, because the Raw after WrestleMania, Will Ospreay won it right back, but he also only held it for a week, because Logan Paul, again, took it right back the next week on Raw. So, I would say that that's kind of a weird little segment, weird little, month, I would say, for the IC title, because that was one of those times where the title just kept switching back and forth, because we never could figure out that. But, Logan Paul, even though he won it for the second time, he said Will Ospreay never got a chance at the title again. And then Logan Paul ended up holding it for 13 days, because probably our best Intercontinental Championship reign, and Oba Femi ended up winning it at Money in the Bank. And it's sad because if I'm not mistaken, I think he held it for the longest time. I think. But, okay. Let me calculate it real quick. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to calculate it. Okay, guys, I was wrong. Oba Femi only held the title for 62 days, but he did vacate before Gauntlet Night, which is the reason that he's technically never lost the IC title. He just vacated it before he went into Gauntlet Night. So he had a 62-day reign, which is 2 days less than Will Ospreay's longest reign was 64 days. But our current Intercontinental Champion, which won at WrestleMania 5 Night 2, is Kevin Owens. He still, again, is continuing his reign as of right now. I have not calculated it because it hasn't ended yet, but that is all of our men's Intercontinental Champions. So now we're getting into the women's titles, and we're going to get to the Raw women's titles. So let's get into the Raw women's title. Our first ever inaugural Raw Women's Champion was Becky Lynch, winning the title at our first ever Backlash. She only held it for a week, though, because Jordynne Grace won it at our first ever, and if I'm not mistaken, our only Saturday Night's main event. And she ended up holding it for 56 days, which is pretty impressive because usually our first 3 champions don't hold it for that long, but she held it for 56 days because at WrestleMania 1, our first ever WrestleMania, again, Rhea Ripley ended up winning it. She only held it for a week, though, because she was vacated. She had to vacate it due to the fact that she was drafted to SmackDown. So, yeah, she won it at WrestleMania, but then she had to vacate it in less than a week because she was drafted to SmackDown. And Becky Lynch ended up winning it for her second time, winning it at our second SummerSlam. She, again, though, which is kind of weird, because she again ended up holding it for a week because Rhea Ripley decided she was coming back and she won it again. So even though she was drafted, she came back, decided, nope, she's not going to SmackDown. She came back and she won it at our first Payback, which made her a 2-time champion. And then she held it for 37 days because this is probably one of our most shocking title wins, but she ended up losing the title to Liv Morgan at the Raw right before WrestleMania 2. And she only held it for 6 days, though, because at WrestleMania 2, probably our longest title reign yet, Timeless Toni Storm ended up winning that title at WrestleMania 2, Night 2, and she held it for 196 days. That is our longest title reign as of right now. I think Roman probably is already past that, but Toni Storm has definitely got officially the longest title reign as of now. She will definitely have a video on all of her title matches and title defenses she had, but I don't think she actually had a lot, so, that might be weird, but she had it for 196 days, which was really impressive, and obviously, like I said, she is our longest champion ever, not even for just Raw, but women's title, but forever. Like, she's our longest champion ever that has actually ended. And even though she won it at WrestleMania 2, she ended up holding it all the way to our 5th SummerSlam. Our 5th SummerSlam was actually the SummerSlam that happened this year, and then Jordynne Grace ended up winning it, but then she held it for 57 days because at WrestleMania 5, Night 2, once again, our current champion, our current Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, ended up winning it at WrestleMania 5, Night 2. And that is all of our Raw Women's Championships. But again, as of right now, the only 2 that I can think of who are getting a video of all their title reigns is Drew McIntyre and Timeless Toni Storm. And Timeless Toni Storm has a really impressive title reign of 196 days. I actually don't even think it was supposed to go that long. If I'm not mistaken, I actually think it was supposed to not even be a year long, but she was just doing so well that, she thrived as Raw Women's Champion and became our longest title reign as of now. So, yep. Well, let's move on to the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and then after this, we will be moving to all of our SmackDown titles. So our first ever Intercontinental Women's Champion was Mariah May. Not Blake Monroe, Mariah May, winning it at WrestleMania 2, Night 2, and she ended up holding it for 69 days. Because then, at WrestleMania 3, so she is our only women's champion to hold it from one WrestleMania to the other, but she ended up winning it at WrestleMania 3, Toni Storm did, Night 1, and she ended up holding it for 84 days. Again, this lady and Timeless Toni Storm is just incredible. I mean, she's almost held every title I think that she's ever held has been at least more than 50, if not 70, maybe 60 days. Like, she's got an incredible record when it comes to holding titles. So, but yeah, she ended up holding the women's IC title for 84 days and then losing it at WrestleMania 4. She's again another woman who has held it a full year, but she held it from WrestleMania 3 to WrestleMania 4 because then Alexa Bliss won the Women's IC Championship at WrestleMania 4 Night 1. Then she ended up holding it for 28 days because in that next SummerSlam, Raquel Rodriguez would end up getting it, and she held it for 56 days. And now our current Women's IC Champion and Lyra Valkyria won it at WrestleMania 5 Night 1 and is still continuing her reign as of today. So again, got a lot of impressive title reigns here. Almost every single title reign of the women's has been more than 50 days, except for Alexa Bliss. But again, Lyra Valkyria, she hopefully will put an impression on that women's IC title. So none of our women's IC champions held it for more than 100 days, but, still good. Okay, so now we get to the Undisputed Championship, which in my opinion probably has the most impressive reigns of all because it's just such a... Honestly, obviously it's the title of our channel. It's the WWE Championship in a sense, so it should be the best. But our first ever inaugural Undisputed Champion was Roman Reigns, winning it at our first Backlash. Excuse me. He held it for 21 days, though, because then AJ Styles would take it from him at our first SummerSlam, him holding it for 42 days, losing it to Brock Lesnar at our first ever WrestleMania, which again was when he became double champion with the World Heavyweight and Undisputed. Now, he technically was really dominant at that time, but he only held it for 35 days because at our second SummerSlam, Goldberg would end up winning that title too, which again, that's what made Goldberg a double champion. But again, he lost it in a minute because Seth Rollins would cash in to get both those titles again. So again, it was really weird because in that 2-month, maybe 3-month span, we had double champions getting switched. Our first ever double champion, Brock Lesnar, lost those 2 titles to Goldberg, making him a double champion. Seth Rollins then won those to make him a double champion. So we got to witness 3 double champions in one night, which was really cool. And then Seth Rollins, even though he had a really impressive World Heavyweight title reign, he ended up losing that Undisputed title in 14 days to Daniel Bryan at our first ever Night of Champions. Daniel Bryan, I would say, had the most impressive Undisputed title reign as of now. That has actually ended because he held it for 63 days because John Cena ended up winning it at our third SummerSlam to make him an 18-time world champion. John Cena would then hold it for 50 days to our current Undisputed Champion. Acknowledge him, Roman Reigns. He is our current Undisputed Champion. He won it at WrestleMania 3. Guys, WrestleMania 3, Night 2, and he is still going as of now. He could honestly make it to WrestleMania 10, I bet, but, we're not going to try and end this because this reign has been really great, and I don't know when it's going to end, but I'm excited for whenever it does because I know that title reign is going to be really good. So, I honestly actually don't even know if it will end, to be honest with y'all. So, Roman Reigns has a pretty impressive title reign, I would say. Now we move on to the men's U.S. champions, and also forgot to tell you, even though Roman Reigns' title reign hasn't ended yet, I know he's got more than 100 days, but we're not going to make a video on him because his title reign is still going. So we're going to move to the U.S. champions, men's. Our first ever U.S. champion in the men's division was Dolph Ziggler. He won it at our first WrestleMania, holding it for 70 days because Daniel Bryan would then win it at WrestleMania 2, Night 1. He then held it for 64 days because The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, would win it at WrestleMania 3, Night 2. He then held it for 83 days. Cody Rhodes won it at WrestleMania 4, Night 1, had it for 28 days. And then our current U.S. champion, still to this day, Tommaso Ciampa, won it at our 5th SummerSlam? Yeah, 5th SummerSlam. And he is still our U.S. champion because he retained at WrestleMania 5. And he is still our our U.S. champion again, sorry. But, yeah, he's probably got over a 100-day reign, too, I would say. So, pretty good on Tommaso's part. But yeah, he's got a really good reign. And, honestly, it's kind of surprising because all of our U.S. champions have held it a full year. it's just like almost really impressive. I mean, see, the thing is even though Cody Rhodes won at WrestleMania 4 and lost it to Tommaso at SummerSlam, he's the only one to lose it that wasn't at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes. And Tommaso, if he loses it at SummerSlam, he would have had a full year again. So it's really weird how things add up, especially in our men's division of the mid card titles, because a lot of them switched only at WrestleMania. Um, but that's the champions, I guess. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen a champion retain their title at WrestleMania for a mid card except for Tommaso and Will Ospreay now, which is crazy to think about. But sadly, none of those title reigns were over 100 days. I mean, Tommaso's may end up being, but as of right now, that wasn't it. So now we're going to move on to the SmackDown Women's Championship. And actually, this is the championship that has the most title changes out of all of our titles. So I'm going to try and talk through this one kind of quick, but I got to also explain. Here we go. So our inaugural Women's SmackDown champion was Charlotte Flair, winning it at our first Backlash. She ended up holding it for 1 week, though, because she would lose it to Jade Cargill at our first Saturday night's main event. Jade Cargill, though, would hold it for 42 days. Sasha Banks wins it from Cash In at our first Survivor Series, holding it for 1 hour, because then she would have a match with Bayley that was already scheduled, but they changed it to a title match, and then she ended up winning it. Holding it for a week, though, because then Nia Jax would win it at our first WrestleMania. She held for 6 days, though, because then Bianca Belair would win it at SmackDown after WrestleMania 1. Her then holding it for 34 days. Then Zelina Vega, which was really surprising, won it at SmackDown after our second SummerSlam, holding it for 56 days. Then it would be Sasha Banks winning it for her second time at SmackDown before her third Clash of the Castle, holding it for 43 days. Timeless Toni Storm winning that title at our third Survivor Series, holding it for 105 days. So guess what? She gets 2 different videos, one for the Raw and for the SmackDown. So congratulations, Toni. But she would then lose the title at WrestleMania 4 to Charlotte Flair night 1, holding it for 84 days. Then, which is kind of weird because, again, we got to see 3 different SmackDown Women's Champions at WrestleMania 5 because Charlotte came in as champion. Jacy Jayne would then beat her, hold it for less than 2 minutes because Becky Lynch would cash in. Becky Lynch is our current SmackDown Women's Champion. So, the SmackDown Women's Championship has got a lot going on, and honestly, I feel like Jacy Jayne kind of made a statement because when she came in, she defeated Lola Vice, went straight to the main event with Charlotte, beat her for the title, and even though she held it for 2 minutes, Becky Lynch cashed in on her, yada, 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 but holy, like, Jacy honestly might end up getting rematch, and if I have no doubt she'll probably win another title soon, but, again, Toni had a 100-day reign plus 100 days, so she will get a title. It's funny because she's going to get 2 different videos, a SmackDown and a Raw title. She's going to get a SmackDown and a Raw title defense video. Sorry, my mind blanked out there for a minute. But let's move on to our last category in the Women's U.S. Championship. This one, to be honest, kind of has my favorite champions on it, if I'm just being honest, because I mean, our first ever women's U.S. champion was Alexa Bliss, winning it at WrestleMania 2 night 1, holding it for 14 days, because then she would lose it to Charlotte Flair at our third Clash of the Castle. Charlotte would hold it for 21 days because Alexa Bliss would then win it back at our third Payback, holding it for a week because Mariah May would then win it at Survivor Series, holding it for 21 days. Toni Storm would then win it at WrestleMania 3 night 1, holding it for 84 days. 84. Not 100, so luckily we don't have to do 3. But she would then win it for 84 days. Sasha Banks would win it from her at WrestleMania 4, night 1, holding it for 28 days. Shayna Baszler would win it at SummerSlam, holding it for 14 days. Blake Monroe, which is our current United States Women's Champion, won it at Night of Champions and is still going. Again, she is the only women's mid-card champion to successfully defend her title at WrestleMania as of now. I think she may end up surpassing maybe 100 days, just because of the fact that she's been really good, and she obviously has the experience as Mariah May, but now she's Blake Monroe. So, yeah, maybe she will do good, and maybe she'll have 100 days. But I mean, I don't know. I would say it's definitely really impressive that we at least have like 3 people who have held the title for more than 100 days. That being Drew McIntyre, Toni Storm twice, and Roman Reigns. Of course, I think he's honestly might even have 200 days, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think it's really impressive. And you see, the thing is we have just like literally just a couple days ago, if not a couple weeks ago, made it to where there is now 2 Raws and 2 SmackDowns before every PLE, which means Roman Reigns, if he doesn't lose that title anytime soon, the days he already has is probably going to end up doubling. So, to be honest with you, I may make a video of like counting up Roman's. I may end up making another video of counting up Roman's days he already has now to see what he has now, and then we can try and keep track of that. But for now, we're going to end this video because that was all of our champions that we've had as of now. So basically, currently our champions as of right now for our World Heavyweight Champion is Braun Breaker. Our current IC Champion, Kevin Owens. Our current Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair. Our current Women's IC Champion is Lyra Valkyria. Our current Undisputed Champion, hold up the ones, Roman Reigns. Our current U.S. Champion, Tommaso Ciampa. Our current SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch. And our current U.S. Women's Champion, Blake Monroe. What kind of list is that? That is some incredible names. But again, I just wanted to make a short little video about that because I am, again, going to have to get to making those 3 videos it is of Drew McIntyre's title reign and then Toni Storm's SmackDown and Raw entire reign. So again, I hope that y'all watch those videos. I hope you like this video, getting to know a little bit of our history. That way you don't have to go and watch every single video. I mean, I would be really glad if you did that, but like, you know, this is a video, so you don't have to do that. Again, this is kind of just a history lesson in a sense for our titles, which means, to be honest, our title will probably be the history of all of our titles, and the champions that they've, held, whatever. But again, I'm going to end this video now because it's coming up to 30 minutes. I thank you if you sat here and watched this whole video. I don't expect you to, but this is just kind of a video for all those people who want to know what the history of our championships are and who's held them and whatnot. So again, thank you for watching if you watched. Again, like I said in the short, may God bless you, for God loves you, I love you. And again, thank you for watching if you watched. If not, that's okay. I don't care. See you, bye.